Hi, this is Lori Hiscock at Ruoff Home Mortgage. If you're like most realtors, you've probably had a scenario or two where you gave a lender a purchase agreement only to have them come back a week or two later asking you for changes to it to make it more compatible with what the bank needed. This can feel like a frustrating use of your time as you hunt down the buyer, the listing agent, the seller, and get everybody to initial the changes that need made. To help avoid this waste of time, here are 8 steps that you can take at the very beginning to make your purchase agreement more lender-friendly. The first thing you're going to want to do to help your lender out is confirm the buyer's legal name. The lender is going to get a copy of the driver's license and make sure that the loan documents match the name on that, so your purchase agreement should as well. If your client's name is Charles Smith, but he goes by Chuck, you're going to want to put the agreement in the name of Charles Smith. You don't necessarily need to include middle names, even if they are on the driver's license, but the first and last part of the legal name should match what is on their license. A second thing you can do to make your purchase agreement lender-friendly is verify the property address. A lot of times the MLS listing is not the actual proper address per the Postal Service, and the lender is going to need to use the one per the Postal Service for the flood certification and the appraisal and the loan documents. So take the step up front to go to the USPS.com website and make sure you have the address right. When you go there, there's a link to look up a zip code. If you enter the street address, city, and state that you have and click the zip code search, it will not only give you the proper zip code, but it will give you the actual proper street address for that home. That's the address you should use in your purchase agreement. The third thing you should be aware of is that there are rules on the items that can be left with the property, and you want to get those right up front. For example, you can ask for the seller to leave things like window treatments, appliances, or things that are permanently attached, like built-in bookshelves, hot tubs that are built into the desk, anything that is permanently affixed to the property. However, we cannot ask for the seller to leave things that are not permanently fixed. That means furniture can't be listed here, lawn mowers, four-wheelers, or hot tubs or things that are on the property but are not attached to the property. If your client wants to purchase those things, that's fine. They can do it on a separate purchase agreement. But as a part of the real estate purchase agreement, those type of items need to be excluded. A fourth way that you can help your lender is to make sure that the earnest money is in an acceptable format for the financing. It doesn't happen often, but sometimes buyers will want to pay earnest money with cash. Well, your lender is going to have to document the flow of all money, and cash is hard to document. So please don't accept cash earnest money if there's financing involved in the purchase. Another thing to look for is the earnest money check written by the person who is on the purchase agreement? It normally is, but sometimes it's being written by a roommate, a fiance, a parent, somebody who is not buying the property and is just helping the buyer out. If that's the case, that can create a problem for the financing. So check with the lender before accepting that earnest money check and make sure that's going to work. The fifth way to help your lender is to make sure that you get the seller concessions right. The wording for seller concessions can be very important to make sure that your buyer can take full advantage of the seller's money. So here is an example of wording that can work well in this scenario. You can put that the seller is to contribute a certain percentage or a certain dollar amount of the final price towards the buyer's closing costs, prepaid items, points, and inspections. Listing all 4 of those will help make sure you can use all of the money that's available to your buyer. It is important to know that there are limits on what amount of concessions can be allowed based on loan type. Currently, FHA will allow for up to 6% of the price, VA 4%, and conventional 3%. The 6th way you can help your lender is set an appropriate closing date. It's really good to talk to the lender before the offer is written to ask how much time they need. Depending on the type of loan, they may need 30 days, 45 days. Certain types of loans take even longer, so it's important to ask that up front. Also, there are many times where an offer is made and then you are going back and forth with the seller for a week or 2 weeks before a final date and price is agreed to. If it takes a little while to agree on that, you need to reset the closing date to make sure your lender still has the allowed time to do the loan properly. Next, you want to make sure everything is ready for home inspections. If a home is vacant, there is a possibility that utilities are turned off, the furnace is not on, the property has been winterized, the water's not running. If any of these things are the case, those all need to be rectified before the appraiser goes out. They need to verify water, heat, and utilities. So put it in writing in your purchase agreement that the seller is going to have all utilities, water, etc. active and running prior to inspections and appraisals. The final way you can help your lender is to make sure to get them full copies of the paperwork. Every counteroffer, every addendum they need to have, and they need to have the signed copies. There's been many times where I've gotten a final counteroffer, but it's not signed, so I'm not certain it's the final one. And if it's not, and a lender relies on it, that can create a huge problem down the road. So make sure they have all counters, all addendums, and that they have the signed and accepted copies. You'll also want to make sure they have the St. Joseph County addendum or whatever county they happen to be in, and the lead-based paint disclosures if needed. A final way with this that you can help your lender is to give them that MLS sheet. They don't always need it, but it certainly helps because it gives the lender information on the property, such as the property type. Is it a regular residential? Is it a townhouse? Is it a condo? It'll let them know if there are homeowner association dues and how much. It lets the lender know the current property tax amount, so they can use that to estimate the payment. Giving the lender the MLS sheet will be very beneficial to them in quoting things accurately for your buyer. Spending a little extra time up front to make sure these 8 items are addressed properly is going to make the home buying process much smoother for you and for your client. If you have any questions on these or on any other aspect of home financing, please know I'm always happy to help. Just send me an email or give me a call. Thanks and have a great day.